So here we begin with the architecture segment. So there is a remarkable sense of town planning here. How? Because everything was so very well engineered, so planned, like there was an entire good settlement of the roads, there was a nice connectivity with all the places, there was an extensive drainage system and all such things we'll be reading about. So it was basically a very well planned settlement, and that is why we say that there was marvelous architecture during that time, because it was so very well planned. And this can even be a proper full-fledged mains question, right, from the art and culture point of view. So this is an important thing that you need to cover. Now the towns were laid out in a rectangular grid pattern. So in the previous lesson we covered about an oval settlement. So which was that oval settlement? Comment in the comment section below. Now coming back to the architecture segment here, the roads ran in the north to south and east to west direction and cut each other at right angles. So what will be the benefit of this particular settlement or this particular kind of setup? So what will happen is, as and when the wind blows, there will be natural sweeping of the roads, right? So because the roads are so well designed or so well placed, as and when the wind blows, everything will be swept off. So basically the roads will be clean and there will not be much of dirt and dust on the roads. Now the big roads divided the city into a number of blocks, while the smaller lanes were used to connect the individual houses and apartments to the main roads, right? So this basically emphasizes on how well everything was interconnected. Now coming to the types of buildings, so basically there are three main types of buildings, that is the dwelling houses, the public buildings and the public baths. Now the dwelling houses were the areas where people used to reside. The public buildings were basically the areas which were basically pillared halls and courtyards were present. Basically administrative functions must be, carried out there. There must be some sort of, like deliberations going on there during those times. And the third very important building here are the public baths. Now this is very important, a very characteristic feature of the Mohenjo-daro civilization, like the Mohenjo-daro site basically for this particular civilization, because the public baths were like when the site was excavated, a huge public bath was found, and this basically kind of develops upon some sort of ritualistic cleansing or some sort of ritual that was prevalent during that particular time. So this was a very, very important feature. It also had an arena of rooms around it. So basically it maybe was a very important part of their culture and civilization. Now a very important feature of this particular civilization is that the people during that era, which is like way too primitive to say, they also knew the use of gypsum mortar along with burnt mud bricks, right? So this is very important. So they knew how to use gypsum mortar and also knew how to prepare and use burnt mud bricks, right? So this is very, very important. There might be a question as in, like, did the Indus Valley people know the use of gypsum mortar? So yes, they did know, right? Now coming to the city structure, so the city was divided into two parts, the upraised citadel right here and the lower part of the city. So as we've already covered in the previous lesson, so the citadel was the important area where all the administrative works used to be carried out, the elites used to live. So basically a lot of pillared halls and courtyards were present here. The lower part of the city was basically made up of dwelling houses, as in small hutments or settlements were there. Another important thing is that every house had a well, a proper drainage system, and even there are stairs that are found in all these houses, which somehow indicates that maybe the buildings were two-storied or whatever. So basically it emphasizes that everything, like all the settlements were not all that they weren't really crudely made. They were well planned and organized, right? So this is how we'll remember. Here in the western portion is the upraised citadel and the lower part of the city is basically the dwelling units, right? Now another remarkable feature of the civilization was the advanced drainage system. Like I've emphasized on it twice, I guess now. So this was a very, very important and a very core feature of this particular civilization. Each house had a proper drainage system connected to the main drainage system. Very, very important. The drains were covered loosely. Like, why were the drains covered loosely? What will happen is, like, if the drains are covered loosely, it will allow for regular cleaning activities, maintenance activities. So that is why they were covered loosely, so that as and when required, cleanliness drives can be taken up, maintenance can be easily done. And were placed at regular intervals, right? So yet again, like for any kind of check, like checking in case there is any blockage or something, all of this was there, right? So this is how they had a very, very nice drainage system. They were very conscious of health and sanitation. So that is quite impressive. For like this time period, the people are so very cautious about all of this, right? Now, another very important feature of the particular civilization is its stone statues. So now we are coming to the sculptures portion here. So the two male figures are extensively discussed. Like they are very, very famous, very, very basic and core to the Indus Valley civilization altogether. So one is the torso in red sandstone, and the other is a bust of a bearded man in steatite. So this is the bust of the bearded man. So let's read about it in detail. So this is the male torso picked up directly from the NCERT because that's the most authentic source that we should refer to here. So basically in this red sandstone figure, there are socket holes in the neck and shoulders for the attachment of heads and arms. The frontal portion of the torso has been consciously adopted. The shoulders are well baked and abdomen slightly prominent. So basically this is all not what you need to remember, but just remember that the male torso is a very important sculpture from the Harappan era and it is in red sandstone, right? Now this is a very, very important figure. So basically the bearded priest. So basically the figure of the bearded man interpreted as a priest is draped in a shawl coming under the right arm and covering the left shoulder. So basically this just describes the sculpture that is shown right here. So it is not very important for you to remember all of this, but do remember where was it found, what are the various features, and you need to know which particular era does a particular sculpture belong to. This is very, very famous, so you guys will remember that it belongs to the Harappan era. But then as and when we proceed with the course, we'll be reading about so many sculptures which will be coming from now on. So it'll be better in case you guys can take note of them and prepare your own list, so that when you're revising, it will be very easy for you to recollect and remember, right? So these are the two main stone statues that we had to discuss here. In the next lesson, we'll be covering the bronze sculptures and other things, and we'll be completing the Harappan architecture and the sculpture and pottery portion in the next lesson. So thank you for watching. Do rate, review and recommend.